On one side is the scorching prairie under the African sun. On the other is Alaska, where icy temperatures can drain life away in a single night. But at these two extremes, every creature pays the price for its actions, from predator to prey in an instant. This is a journey through these two harsh extremes of survival, from the scorching prairie to the frozen Alaskan glacier. Two extremes of survival, from the scorching arid steppe to the frozen Alaskan glacier. There is no mercy in nature. Only the laws of survival are written in blood, hunger, cold, and thirst. At one end of the world, the African sun burns the prairie to ashes. At the other end of the planet, Alaska, where ice and darkness freeze the air and food is buried under thick snow. At these two extremes, life continues. And it belongs only to those who know how to adapt, how to fight, and how to rise again after each test from nature. The journey begins under the scorching heat of the African dry season. The savanna is no longer a sea of green grass, but a cracked, yellow, parched landscape. Rivers dry up, mud pools thicken under the sun. And every remaining creature on this land wonders each day. Will I survive today? Amidst this harsh landscape, a family of warthogs is foraging. The mother leads the way, short and sturdy, her snout buried in the dry earth. Her curved tusks protrude like ivory sickles. Behind her, the young slowly follow, learning to find roots and dry tubers. Warthogs don't possess the majestic appearance of a ruler, but they have a formidable survival strategy. They dig, run fast, and always remember the way back to their burrows. When danger arises, they rush into abandoned warthogs, retreating down the tunnels and pointing their heads and tusks outwards. In that cramped space, the predator no longer faced a panicked prey, but a door to survival, a door with fangs, tenacity, and no way to retreat. But today, this family was foraging outside their den. And on a low branch, a pair of golden eyes silently observed. A leopard. Its spotted golden fur blended into the patches of light and shadow between the branches and dry grass. It didn't hunt with strength or noise, but with time. More than an hour passed, and the warthog family was still digging in the dry soil. The mother remained vigilant, but hunger forced her to stay low for longer. The cubs stayed close together. Until one began to drift away from the group. Not much, just a few steps. But for a leopard, a few steps is enough. The wind still blew gently, the distance was just right, and then the branch swayed very slightly. The leopard tensed its body like a spring compressed to its limit, then sprang down. A streak of yellow darted out from the shadows, so fast that the prey only had time to lift its head before death was imminent. The warthog mother roared, scattering her cubs. The separated calf turned and fled, its hooves churning up dust. It aimed for the den, where life might still be a way out. But it was too late. It had lost its only advantage, no longer near its mother, no longer near the den's mouth, out of the family's protection. The leopard had locked onto its target. A pounce sent the prey askew. The next bite sank deep into its neck. Everything ended in seconds. There was no long chase, no noisy battle. Just a small mistake. Silence returned. The warthog mother stood not far away, breathing heavily, her tusks pointed toward the predator. She didn't charge. She couldn't trade her remaining cubs for one that was gone. That was the cruelest choice of survival. Sometimes, to save the entire litter, a mother has to leave behind a part of herself. The leopard gripped its prey, dragging it along. It began pulling its prize toward the upright tree trunk. Its claws dug into the young warthog, its shoulder muscles tensing. With each thrust, it tried to pull its prey away as quickly as possible, out of reach of hyenas, wild dogs, and other stronger predators on the ground. But the smell of blood spread faster than it expected. In the distance, a male lion appeared. The leopard froze. It growled softly, its jaws still gripping the prey, its claws digging into the ground, as if unwilling to let go of the reward it had just won with hours of patient effort. But the lion didn't stop. It lunged forward with overwhelming weight. The leopard recoiled, baring its teeth in resistance, but a single swing of the lion's leg was enough to force it back. This wasn't a battle a lone predator should prolong. The leopard was forced to release its prey. In the next moment, it leaped up a nearby tree, quickly climbing a high branch where the lion could hardly reach. The leopard looked down. On one side was the meal just won with over an hour of patient effort. On the other was the price of life if it tried to hold on. On the African savanna, survival sometimes isn't about winning, but about knowing when to let go. It leaped to a higher branch, then hid within it, leaving the meal to be snatched away below. The male lion bowed its head. The meal changed hands. The battle ended without further bloodshed. On the branch, the leopard lay still, its golden eyes still open. Its stomach was still empty, but its body remained intact. For a lone predator, intact meant there was still tomorrow. On the ground, the male lion tore apart the meat it had just stolen. That was an unchangeable rule repeated in silence. On this earth, the one who kills first doesn't necessarily get to eat. The reward belongs only to the one powerful enough to keep it. In your opinion, was the leopard right to abandon its prey to save its life, or should it have risked its life to protect its newly acquired prize? In that situation, would you choose to survive for another chance to hunt, or accept the risk to keep your reward? Like the video and keep watching, because even more fierce confrontations await. In Africa, heat and thirst determine the rhythm of survival. But on the other side of the planet, where every mistake is frozen to death, where the cold can drain life from every breath, that rule is even harsher. This is Alaska, one of the last remaining wildernesses on Earth. Where winter is not just a season, but a predator. It has no teeth, no claws, and doesn't ambush in dry grass. It kills by draining heat from the body, burying food under the snow, and locking rivers under ice. In Alaska, life races against time. And on the edge of that frozen ocean, a giant white figure is silently walking across the ice. The polar bear, the dominant predator of the north. But even the king of the jungle wasn't naturally granted the privilege of victory. Beneath its pristine white fur, its dark skin absorbed every last faint ray of light. Its thick layer of fat retained warmth like a fortress wall against the icy ocean. Its broad paws distributed its weight evenly across the thin ice, and its keen sense of smell could track the scent of seals from a great distance. Its entire body was a perfect answer to the cold. Behind their mother, two cubs slowly followed the large footprints in the snow. They were too young to fully understand the dangers of this icy region. Even less did they understand that the ice beneath their feet was both a path to survival and a deadly trap. The mother bear stopped beside a flat patch of ice. She lowered her head, her black nose almost touching the snow. Nothing moved before her. No sound, no footprints, no sign of prey. But beneath the ice, a seal might be hiding in a small snow cave, or swimming up to a breathing hole to get some air. For polar bears, the hunt doesn't begin with speed. It begins with waiting. On the African savanna, a leopard might lie motionless for over an hour waiting for a warthog to leave its herd. In Alaska, polar bears must learn that same cruel patience, but in a cold enough to freeze every blood vessel. The wind whips against their backs, carrying icy, needle-like snowflakes. The mother bear spotted her prey nearby. She immediately lowered herself close to the ice. Before her lay the seal, motionless on the snow, seemingly at a safe distance. But the mother bear didn't advance directly across the ice. She silently slid into the water beside her, letting the cold engulf her massive body. Below the ice edge, she swam slowly and silently, following the current to close the distance to her prey. Every movement was calculated. No roar, no sudden lunge. Only her eyes, fixed upwards, watched the seal's faint silhouette on the white ice. Then the moment arrived. The mother bear suddenly emerged from the ice edge. Her front paws lunged towards the seal. Startled, the prey tried to slither towards the water's edge, but it was too late. The mother bear's jaws locked on it, pulling it from its last escape route. The ice surface vibrated under the weight of the two bodies. A few seconds later, everything fell silent. The hunt was successful. There was no roar of joy. There was no fanfare. Only the heavy breathing of the mother bear mingled with the cold wind, and a striking red bloodstain against the white snow. The mother bear tore at the most energy-rich fat. She needed to store energy, and her cubs needed to grow. Because the hunting season here was much shorter than the hunger. And each year, the ice formed later and melted earlier, pushing the predators of the icy region into a race their bodies had never evolved to win. Polar bears were born for the Ice Age. If the ice disappears, even the king will lose his throne. In your opinion, is the greatest threat to polar bears the imminent hunger or the disappearing ice beneath their feet? If the sea ice continues to shrink, how long can the King of the North hold on to his throne? Leave your thoughts in the comments and continue watching the video. Leaving the edge of the ocean and venturing inland, the cold still shows no mercy to life. It was no longer a thin sheet of ice, but a vast white tundra where snow buried food, wind erased all traces, and everything was forced to move if it didn't want to be swallowed by winter. Here, strength no longer lay in waiting by the mouth of a breathing hole. It lay in the ability to march for miles and then hundreds of miles. Through snow, through ice, through lands that seemed utterly dead from the cold. Against the horizon, a herd of caribou were heading south. Their bodies followed each other in slow but persistent lines. In Africa, zebras and gazelles run across the savanna in search of new pastures. In Alaska, reindeer also follow the ancient call of hunger, but each step comes at the cost of their energy. Thick snow clings to their feet, cold wind whips across their faces. Food lies deep beneath the hard ice, where their hooves must scrape away layers of snow to reach the meager amount of lichen. But their bodies are designed for this world. Their wide splayed hooves prevent them from sinking deep into the snow. Their hollow fur traps warm air around their bodies. Their unique nasal cavity structure warms each breath before the freezing air enters their lungs. But adaptation doesn't equate to safety. Lurking at the edge of the herd, grey shadows have begun to appear. Wolves. If polar bears hunt with strength and patience, wolves hunt with strategy and endurance. They don't need to kill their prey immediately. They just need to make the reindeer herd run. Run through deep snow. Run across slippery ice. Run until one individual is exhausted, loses their rhythm, or falls behind the group. The alpha wolf suddenly accelerates. It doesn't charge straight into the middle of the herd, but circles around to the flank to exert pressure and force the entire herd to change direction. Immediately, the strong adult reindeer are pushed to the outside, while the young and weak individuals are pushed to the center for protection. But after days of hunger and cold, not all of them had the strength to keep up. One reindeer began to slow down, only half a beat behind the rest of the pack. That half a beat was all the wolves needed. The chase began. Not explosive like a lion hunting on the savanna. Not swift like the pounces of a leopard. This was a battle of attrition. Each leap, each breath of the wolves was exhausting the prey. The reindeer struggled to keep up with the pack. Its hooves clawed wildly on the ice, its breaths exhaling in intermittent white plumes. Behind it, the wolves constantly shifted positions. One pressed close to its left, another from behind, forcing the prey to change direction again and again. Then the slippery ice caused the reindeer to lose its footing. Its hind legs buckled. In an instant, the wolves swarmed forward. The hunt was over. In the wild, death often happens faster than the fear it causes. The reindeer herd continued on ahead. Not a single one turned back. Not because they didn't sense what had just happened, but because stopping in the middle of winter meant putting the entire herd in danger. In the icy wilderness, survival doesn't always come from turning back to fight. Sometimes, it's simply about keeping going. As the wolf pack vanished into the snow, darkness enveloped the tundra. The northern sky stretched out like a cold dome. A faint light fell upon the white ground, making the scene so quiet and beautiful that it was hard to believe that beneath the surface, the struggle for survival never ceased. But amidst this beauty, another hunt began. On a high snowdrift, a snowy owl stood motionless. Only its head rotated, its sharp golden eyes slowly scanning the white expanse before it, searching for any slightest movement beneath the snow. Its sleek plumage helped it blend almost completely into the icy landscape. When it spread its wings, not a sound was made. The soft, distinctive feathers reduced the sound of the wind whistling through its wings, turning the snowy owl into a silent shadow drifting across the night sky. Deep beneath the snow, a tiny lemming was slipping through a thin tunnel. It couldn't see its predator. But the owl could hear it. A very faint rustling sound. A scratching sound beneath the ice. A tiny creature convinced it was safe. A snowy owl spreads its wings and swoops down. No whistling wind, no flapping wings. Just a white shadow descending from the night sky. Its talons pierce the snow, scooping its prey up into the air in an instant. Death comes so silently that the prey doesn't even realize it's been discovered. A perfect hunt in the blink of an eye. But after months of being locked in the ice, Alaska begins to change its rhythm. Winter cannot keep this land silent forever. The first sign of revival is not the chirping of birds or the calls of animals, but the cracking of the ice. Rivers frozen for winter begin to stir. Fragments of ice break, dark water flows through the cracks, and the land is brought back to life. And as Alaska awakens, one of the greatest pilgrimages on the planet begins, charting its course from the ocean. The salmon return. After years at sea, millions of silver and red fish swim upstream, returning to the very rivers where they were born. They return to complete the final task of their life cycle: reproduction. But this return is not silent. The scent of the fish drifts through the forest, clinging to wet rocks and flowing deep into the newly thawed valleys. This scent quickly awakens predators that have been waiting all winter. Grizzly bears. After months of hibernation, their bodies are emaciated, their fat reserves nearly depleted. But their keen sense of smell leads them to the river, where the biggest feast of the year awaits. And in a short time, the peaceful waters transform into a battlefield of hunger. Thousands of salmon surge forward, their bodies thrashing in the white spray. One leaps, trying to overcome the slippery rocks. Another is pushed back by the current. Even so, the entire school continues its onward assault, for this journey leaves no room for turning back. At the top of the falls, an old bear waited. It didn't need to exert itself, wading into the rushing water to chase its prey. Experience turned it into a living trap, allowing it to choose the exact spot where the salmon were forced to leap to cross the falls. As a bright red body sprang from the foam, the bear immediately pounced. A precise bite closed the hunt in an instant, the fish completely inside its jaws. The scent of the fish quickly attracted more grizzly bears. The larger and stronger ones occupied the spots with the most fish. While the weaker ones were pushed to the edges. Mother bears carrying their cubs had to reluctantly choose secluded spots with fewer fish, but with a guaranteed survival rate for their offspring. The bears ate to store energy for the coming winter. But the salmon returned to the river to complete the final part of their life cycle. Reproducing and creating a new generation. Not only the bears benefited from this journey, the carcasses of the fish left on the banks became a source of nutrients for the soil. Organic matter from the ocean seeps into the moist soil, is absorbed by tree roots, and continues to nourish the entire forest. A dead fish in the river can turn green on the foliage. Energy from the ocean enters the bodies of bears, eagles, and scavengers, then returns to the land and trees. In Alaska, death doesn't disappear completely. It just transforms into another form, continuing to nourish life in an endless cycle. But this wilderness isn't just vast forests and rivers. Far offshore, beneath the cold, nutrient-rich waters, another world is in motion. This is the home and feeding ground of gentle giants. Humpback whales. After a long migration from warm tropical seas, they return to Alaskan waters to find food. Here, cold currents bring nutrients from deep beneath the surface, creating conditions for mollusks and schools of small fish to congregate in enormous numbers. But to gather such a large amount of food, size alone is not enough. Humpback whales need a precise strategy. A pod of whales silently dives beneath the school of fish, then begins swimming in circles. As they move, bursts of air are released from their snorkels, rising to the surface and forming a giant wall of bubbles surrounding their prey. The bubble circle closes, little by little. Cornered from all sides, the small fish panic and huddle together, forming a dense silver mass within the tightening trap. Then, at that precise moment, the attack begins. From the depths below, enormous heads simultaneously leap up. their mouths opened wide, swallowing tons of water and countless small fish in a single, powerful vertical thrust. The sea surface seemed to explode. White foam shot up in all directions, massive black bodies tearing through the water's surface, rising into the air. It was a hunting technique not forged in claws or fangs, but in precise coordination, pack instinct, and experience passed down through generations. From the scorching African savanna to the icy Alaska, nature never bestows life easily. The heat drains every drop of water. The cold tests every breath. But in both of these harsh lands, all creatures are still caught in the same cycle. The death of one species becomes the life of another. A fallen warthog helps a pride of lions overcome hunger. A dead salmon lying by the river nourishes the green forest. An old reindeer collapses, providing energy for a pack of wolves to survive the winter. The wild world does not operate on compassion. It operates on hunger, thirst, and sometimes even life itself. But it is in this harshness that the most powerful beauty of nature is created. For whether under the scorching heat or amidst the freezing ice, life always finds a way to move forward. Not because it doesn't know fear, but because it never accepts defeat. From the parched prairies to the icy Alaska, life must always adapt to survive. But beneath the deep ocean, where light disappears and pressure becomes the greatest challenge, another battle is still raging. So, which creatures can survive and dominate in that darkness? The answer will be revealed in the next chapter.